Hello everyone and welcome to episode 7 of the Switcher podcast, a series where myself and Bailey talk everything football. Now today we have a very good episode where we're going to discuss Ipswich, other Premier League stuff, FPL, and we're going to preview the PSV game in midweek. Now, let's go over how easy of a game that was on the weekend against Ipswich. I mean, I was watching the game in the Cup and it just didn't even feel like there was another team there. I'm not too sure if you were watching it, but did you feel the same?
Yeah, I got to watch the second half of the game. I was busy during the day at work, but yeah, I got to watch the second half, and it did definitely feel like we were facing a very much weaker team in Ipswich, and a team that very much feels like a championship team in ways when you play them, because it reminds me of like when you play Burnley and Leeds, that sort of squad. It just sort of felt like a little bit of a kick in the teeth when we conceded that goal right at the end, because obviously we wanted to keep a clean sheet there, but still we had no issues with
kick in the teeth. You mean a kick in the teeth for me?
Well, yeah,
because I was about to predict 2 games in a row, and then they scored. I was walking out the ground as well as I watched that goal.
Yeah,
because we were already 4-0 up. So,
yeah,
but no, the atmosphere was brilliant in that game.
Yeah,
especially when the Ipswich fans started piping up.
Yeah,
LA was loud. I'll say that.
Yeah, I heard that on the telly. Yeah, but overall, I think a lot of the Liverpool goals were really well constructed. I think Dominic Szoboszlai stood out to me in that game. His goal was really well taken, and the one goal that, as in general, really stood out to me was the Gakpo header from the Trent cross. That was just unbelievable.
Yeah,
you'll have had a good view of that goal in the Cup. What did you think of that one?
Yeah, I just think, but I can't really say like it's, like Thiago's goal in the Champions League that one time, or like, like Salah running down the whole. It's sort of like, it's one of them goals that it happens quite a lot, but it's also a very, very good goal and an underrated goal in like the level of how good of a goal that is.
Yeah, definitely, and I think
because especially when they're sitting that deep.
Yeah, they were sat so deep, but Trent made the cross just look so easy, and not a lot of people in that position are able to do that, and I think that's what separates Trent attacking wise from a lot of other fullbacks in the league. It takes a lot of precision and accuracy to be able to just whip in across like that so easily, and it was so pinpoint as well on Gakpo's head. They both knew what they were doing. They both gave each other that look before it happened, and it was just so well executed from Liverpool, and you felt like that goal needed to happen just in the second half so that we just continued with a bit of a goal scoring spree. Obviously, after that goal, we didn't score any more goals, which was a bit unlucky, because I thought that this game could have ended up being a whitewash. It could have been 6 or 7-0, to be honest, but it doesn't.
Yeah,
it
but
doesn't,
I still think
matter. I think it was good that we managed to get the likes of Chiesa on and Dan's. They both got minutes in that game, which was brilliant. I mean, it wasn't 6 or 7, but I still think it's a statement win, because it was dominant. Yeah,
Ipswich haven't been an easy opponent for some teams in the league this season. You saw when they went to Spurs, and when they play at home, they're a solid team. They're not.
Well, yeah,
they're not far from escaping relegation.
I know Man United aren't in the best of form right now, but I mean, still to be able to beat a club of their size was just an unbelievable result for Ipswich. And I don't think they're scared of opponents. I just genuinely do feel that they just get outplayed by the quality of some of the other teams. Yeah,
I think they went into our game thinking, let's sit back. If we can get to the 60th minute, sort of maybe go into the Anfield game how Forest did, but they just didn't execute it good enough, because we know how to play a game like that. It was just, they didn't really with Forest, they have an outlet. They have like the two fast wingers. If you play that type of way, you can't just sit back the whole time. Obviously, yeah, but you've got to have, one or two players that can get you up the pitch every now and again and sort of slow the process down, so it's not like attack after attack. Yeah. So let them have possession, but don't let them have momentum, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I did think with Ipswich is that just how you mentioned there about they came to Anfield thinking, oh yeah, we're going to sit back and we're going to try and snatch a goal, against the run of play type of thing. I think many smaller teams, in fact, such as Ipswich. I'm not saying that Ipswich is a small club, but obviously it's a lot smaller of a club compared to Liverpool. But when these teams,
that's obvious. Yeah.
When these teams that haven't established themselves in the Premier League, such as Ipswich, for example, I think they use the results of other teams to their advantage and try and assess how them teams played to get a result at Anfield. And I think the Nottingham Forest result was a prime example of, that they managed to scrape a 1-0 win at Anfield, and Ipswich tried to copy that, and then they just got blown away in the first half because Liverpool's threat was so advanced and it was so threatening that it's so hard for any team to defend about that, and that is realistically why Liverpool's probably the best club in the world at the moment, arguably. But yeah, I think Ipswich actually played okay. I think Liverpool just completely blown them away, though, really.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, talking about Forest, we are going to speak about that in a second.
Yeah.
But before we do, let's pick out some good performances from Liverpool, because watching the game, I don't think there was a standout man of the match. I think it was more like a brilliant team performance. But is there any players who you think should just be 100% in the team all the time after going off that game? Obviously you've got Van Dijk, Alisson, Salah.
I think Cody Gakpo.
But is there anyone?
I think Cody Gakpo's proven with his performance in that game in terms of putting away his chances that he's there to be in the starting team, and that he's going to really have to, and especially sending a message to Nunes that Nunes is really going to have to work to become the starting striker. There's no doubt that Nunes is the number 9 at Liverpool, but I just feel like Gakpo can score goals better, whether he's through the middle, whether he's off the left flank. He's just overall he's so physical, but he's also so clinical at the same time, and you see often that he's been able to get himself into the right positions to either put a chance away when it needs to happen, or off the left flank you can see him drop his shoulder and cut in, and then he'll always score into the right hand side of the goal. But without a doubt, I think Cody Gakpo scoring 2 goals in that game, I think that sends a real signal. I know off the back of Nunes' performance against Brentford that he'll have been thinking, oh yes, this is just what I need, but I think Gakpo's thrown one straight back at Nunes there, saying, you know what, I know you've just done that, but I'm not here to disappear type of thing.
Yeah, I think at the start of the season it was always Mo Salah, and then a battle between the others, but as the season's gone on, it's sort of it's now Gakpo and Salah, and it's like a battle through the middle between Jota, Diaz, and Nunes.
Yeah, definitely.
I know Jota's injured, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, and obviously I've just mentioned about Gakpo there, and he'll be going back towards his old club in PSV on Wednesday when we play them away, which will be nice for him to reunite with some of his ex-teammates and whatnot. But another player I'd just like to touch on in Liverpool's squad who played, I think, one of his best games in the season on Saturday was Dominic Szoboszlai. I mean, you were at the ground. What can you tell me about his performance?
Yeah, well, it felt like we needed that goal at the start because, obviously we've had games at Anfield where we struggled in the first half and teams have just defended. So it just felt so good to have such a good goal like come into play in the first half and starting off strong instead of relying on subs in the second half and momentum from the Cup.
Yeah, and this
that makes sense.
That was exactly what we were talking about in the last episode as well, about how Liverpool were getting into a bit of a consistent rhythm of starting games really poorly, and then hoping that the second half comeback will just happen. And it was quite nice to see us just.
We've now started off strong in Lille and Ipswich now, so
hopefully
we're sort of getting into that. Yeah, I think we can do that against PSV as well, but we'll touch on that in a moment. So going on to obviously I said that we're going to go on to talking about Forest now, and they've had a bit of a blip in their season, and it's not like, what's not bad for them is the fact that it's not like they've had a blip at home or they've had a blip away to Leicester or something. They've gone away from home to a team that's 11 games unbeaten and really in form with a front three scoring. And Bournemouth look like they're challenging now for one of them top 7 spots, European spots.
And we spoke about this the other day, obviously not on the podcast, but how tight the table is from second position really all the way down to 9th. So you've got Brighton in 9th on 34 points, and then you've got Arsenal in 2nd on 44 points, and there's only 10 points in it. So that area of the table can change so much, but from 7th all the way to 3rd, there's only 3 points in it. And Bournemouth are in 7th, and one win for Bournemouth could put them in Champions League places, and that's mad to say.
Yeah, it's like one game week can mix up all the Champions League places. Yeah, obviously, for Liverpool, Arsenal, then maybe if you go down to Brighton and Fulham, there's a bit of a gap, but between like Villa and Forest, I think that's all to play for.
Yeah, definitely. And also, I know City have managed to climb the way a little bit back to 4th place, but the teams below them are all, arguably, they're all wanting to challenge for City's place right now. So, City have they've sorted themselves out a little bit, but I can't.
Yeah, to beat a team in like the same sort of level, like Chelsea, who have been good this season, is a positive standout result for them. But with City, it's sort of like you people want to say, "Oh, City are back now," but then you just can't look past the PSG game and also, the fact that they've let that slip, and now they're so close to being out of the Champions League.
I think if City manage to get out of this week with 6 points, I think that'll be. I think I'll say City they'll get Champions League, at the end of the season, but they've got a must-win game on Wednesday against Club Brugge, and that's to stay in the Champions League. But then on Sunday they've got Arsenal away, and that is a massive game in their season. Well, it's a massive week for City, really.
I do think that if they need to beat Club Brugge to then they have something to play for in their season. So, I think for City, if they're out of the Champions League and all they're doing is playing for that top 4, it's not really much of a season for them. No. But if they're playing for top 4, competing with teams like Arsenal and Forest, but they're also in a big competition, I think that's also something good for them.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about this Club Brugge game on Wednesday is that they're in a similar position to City in the Champions League table, I believe, and they're going to be wanting to win that game as well to just confirm that they'll be staying into the competition. So, Club Brugge are in 20th. They're at the lower bracket of the playoff places in the Champions League, and then Man City currently sit in 25th, which is just outside of the playoff places. So if Man City lose that game, they're out of the Champions League. They've been eliminated.
By the way, Club Brugge are
or if they draw as well,
20 games. They're 20 games unbeaten, I think. Club Brugge.
Yeah, well, it doesn't surprise me.
So
they're a good outfit. They're going to be up for that game as well. Yeah. They're at home. No, they're not actually.
No,
It's at the
they're
Etihad.
away.
Sorry,
They're away.
it's at the Etihad, but still,
Yeah, I think a draw for them could still get them through.
No, City. Is City draw or lose though?
No. For Club
Oh, for
Bruges, I
Bruges,
think a
yeah,
draw
a draw would be a good enough result.
could
Yeah,
surely, if you look at it, yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah, and also PSG. There's more big teams that will want a result like Real, Juve, and PSG just to secure it as well. So
yeah,
Wednesday is a big day. I think.
Yeah, it certainly is, and
obviously, go on, you finish.
Yeah, sorry, I think City are gonna they have to win, but if they don't win, I think that's gonna knock all of their confidence levels, and I think if they lose against Bruges, then there's a good chance they'll probably lose at the Emirates as well on Sunday. You know, I can't see.
Yeah.
I can't see them getting. I mean, if from a Liverpool point of view, personally, I don't think City are gonna get points at the Emirates at all. I think Arsenal will probably win.
Yeah.
But I mean,
yeah, and obviously that's a big game, which we will be discussing further.
I think Arsenal. I think it's a bigger win for Arsenal if they win than if City win. To be honest, I think Arsenal have to win this game to keep in touch with Liverpool. But I mean, if I had to guess any result for that one, it'd be an Arsenal win or a draw.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I want it to be a City win, I do. I just, you know what I mean. I think that game could go either way because City, they may be up and down with results, but they're still a team that can get results. They are still a good team.
Yeah, definitely, and yeah, I mean, and they're inevitably going to turn the season around because they've made the right signings, in my opinion. I think that Marmoush is a good signing for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's.
Yeah, I managed to catch the second half of that game, and he was doing all right, to be fair.
I think in past seasons you see City manage to just all of a sudden win 15 games in a row, but I don't think that's going to be the case this season because of Rodri's injury, and they've just not got any consistency with their squad at the minute. So. Yeah, I think they're going to finish. I think they're going to finish in the lower places of the Champions League spots, so third or fourth, to be honest, in the table.
Yeah, I'll tell you what was interesting about City against Chelsea is, the reason they're without Rodri, they're sort of losing the ball in that possession state quite easily, and then they're getting countered so easily. But how they played against Chelsea is they sort of made it end to end, like. Edison's passing and Haaland, how good he is, he's a proper number 9. When they actually started playing it long to Haaland, they started to look like a much better team because City can play that end-to-end football because they have players like Savinho, Doku, now Marmoush, Haaland, but they also have, the players at the back with speed like Akanji, Ake, Stones.
Yeah. So
I think Pep's just tried to hold on to what he knows too much. He's People say he keeps experimenting, but he's experimenting with different players, not the style. He needs to change up the style because he's lost the biggest part of the way he was originally playing, which is Rodri.
Yeah, definitely. I completely agree with that one. Shall we move across to the
Wednesday night?
To the Wednesday night fixtures then, because there's a couple of games on that Wednesday night which are quite eye-catching, really. Obviously, Liverpool play PSV, and we're looking like favourites to top the league stage.
Yeah, we've covered City and Club Bruges.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are some teams who still can go through who are more at the bottom, I think. Obviously, you've got Villa's games important, Leverkusen, Atalanta, Monaco, Feyenoord, Lille, because they're trying to get into the top 8. But one of the big ones is PSG, Stuttgart, because they're both similar points. They're both on 10 points, so it's it's almost like some of these games are like knockout games.
Yeah, definitely, and it's a new thing for us this season with this format of the Champions League, and every game's at the same time on Wednesday night. And you don't it's not often you see that in football unless it's like the last game of the season in football in the Premier League or any other leagues really. So it's definitely going to be a night of entertainment on Wednesday night because there's going to be a lot of moving in that table, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely. And there are some big games like Atalanta going away to Barca, who are trying to get in the top 8. Then you've got Leverkusen, who should win at home to Sparta.
Yeah.
Sparta Prague to secure top 8.
Do you back?
Also Villa at home to Celtic.
Yeah. Do you back Villa to beat Celtic at home to manage to get top 8?
I'm not sure. I think Celtic because they're on 12, they could still lose, I think, and still keep their place to the playoffs. I think for Celtic, their result, it does.
Have they guaranteed
I'm wondering
playoffs yet, or?
Yeah. I think they have.
Yeah, they have.
I think that there's a small chance they may be able to get into the top 8.
Yeah, if every team below them won and Celtic lost, then they would be knocked out. But you can see one of the teams below Celtic there dropping, not winning.
Yeah, I mean, two of them are playing each other, PSG and Stuttgart, so I think they're safe. Which is cool because Celtic and knockout football is a big thing, I think.
Yeah, and the money it's going to generate for them, in the Scottish League as well. It's definitely going to be a good thing for Celtic. So I could see Celtic Villa being a draw. To be honest, it's a big game for both teams, but I don't think Villa are right at it at the minute. I think they've had a little bit of a dip in form.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
but that would be massive for Villa being able to go into the second round of knockouts in their first ever Champions League, and it's hard to say they're having a bit of a slip in form because they're still in that battle in the Premier League, and they're still in that battle for the top 8 in the Champions League. I mean, maybe they're not winning as much as they are last season, but they haven't dropped off as much as say Newcastle did when they got Champions League. Yeah. They're still in there with the other teams.
Yeah, completely agree. And the interesting thing as well that I'd just like to mention about the Champions League table as it stands is that there's only 3 points gap between Arsenal in 3rd and Brest in 13th. So, I mean, it's going to be really interesting, to be honest, because the amount of movement in the table across the night is going to be... It's going to be hard to keep up with, and
I think there's 4 teams that have secured it because
definitely
Inter and Arsenal, they're only 3 points off the others, but they have a way higher goal difference. So for the top 4, I think it's fine. But I think from about 5th to about 13th, where Brest are, I mean, what a Champions League for Brest, by the way, if they manage to beat Real Madrid at home, that's going to be some atmosphere, by the way. Home to Real Madrid.
So Wednesday night's definitely...
Real Madrid will want to win as well.
Yeah, Wednesday night's definitely a night that's going to be an interesting one to watch anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, obviously we're going to be talking about Liverpool now. Barcelona have a tough game against Atalanta. They're going to want to win for top spot. And, we're moving on to the Liverpool PSV game, with saying that it's, how do I describe it? It's like we thought after the Lille game and watching the Barca game, while watching them 2 games, that we'd be able to rest more players and just have that game as like, we've already finished first. But now it's like, I think we're going to play a stronger team than we thought that we were going to.
Yeah, completely agree with that one. Yeah.
I think Barca's game, even though it's at home, it may be. I mean, I don't know. They have a tougher opponent, but going away from home in the Champions League is always more difficult. Like, obviously, away games, they're always unpredictable, and PSV they're not a bad side.
No. Yeah, I think. Yeah, they're one of the teams in the Dutch league where there's only a selected few teams really in that Dutch league which constantly play well, and that's normally Eindhoven, Ajax, and who's the other team? I'm pretty. There's Eindhoven, Ajax, and then there's That's it.
I think I know it. Feyenoord.
Yeah, Feyenoord. That's where Slot came
Yeah.
from. And them three teams normally always get European football every year. But PSV currently sit top of the Eredivisie, and they've only dropped points in 4 games in that league. So they're not a team to mess about with. And I think going there as well, it's definitely going to be.
They're sitting 19th. They can qualify for the playoffs with like a draw.
Yeah.
So that's going to be some atmosphere as well.
No, I think it's going to be a pretty similar team to the Lille game. You know, I think they're like
I think
Connor Bradley and
where we rest 1 or 2.
Yeah, I think if it's not the same team as the Lille game, then it'll be very similar. I think Chiesa and Danz are gonna get run-outs again, which is always good to see. I'm liking the fact that Slot's using Danz a lot more. You know, since Jurgen Klopp left, because he's a brilliant.
I think
talent.
Dan's had an injury at the start of the season, if I'm right.
Yeah, I think you are right. Yeah, it was a game. It was I'm not sure what game. I think it might have been an under-21s game, which ended up.
Yeah, it would have been
making him miss out, but you know, it's definitely.
Yeah.
It's definitely good to see the likes of Dan's being included a lot more in the teams.
Yeah, I don't think he impacts the game coming off the bench as much as Chiesa does, but it's the age factor, and like Chiesa's coming on, 27, 28, and it's like it's bigger seeing, an academy player that's come from Liverpool getting run-outs. That's what's so special about it, I think.
Yeah, and it's something we see, a lot with Liverpool, is that in comparison to other teams in the league, that the academy players that come from Liverpool's academy and the under-21s often turn into much better players than a lot of other teams in the league. Our academy is known for creating some brilliant players like Trent Alexander-Arnold and Curtis Jones. A few other players that have left, like Nico Williams at Forest, for example. Ben Woodburn. The list goes on really, but it's brilliant to see a player with such goal scoring ability being included in Liverpool's team and actually competing for a spot in the team, which is it's great to see really for a player like Jadon Danns. And I think in his head he'll be thinking, this is brilliant. Like I'm 19 years old and I'm getting to play for Liverpool's first team quite often. It's what most kids dream of, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, talking about Liverpool, that we do have a double game week in fantasy, and I've got my ideas of what I want to do. What's your plan with that? Because obviously Everton have it as well.
Yeah, so I mean, I've captained Salah because he's got Bournemouth and Everton, and I can see him scoring a couple of goals across the 2 games. But yeah. I've activated my assistant managership for the double game week, which I used Arne Slot. Obviously, Liverpool's probably the most informed team in the league right now, so I thought there's no other manager who I'd like to do it, and the fact that it's a double game week as well, there's a big chance there for a lot of points to come from Liverpool and for my FPL team.
Yeah, my plan is I wanted to bench boost and free hit at the same time, but obviously you can't do that, so I think I might save my free hit for easy fixtures, and I've got about 3 free transfers, so I'm thinking I've already got Semenyo on my bench.
Yeah,
But I'm
I
thinking of
have Semenyo in my team, I think, as well.
maybe getting like two good, like cheap Everton defenders and bench boosting for their double game week. So
Yeah,
like,
might be worth it.
I'd have my strong team, and then I'd have Fabianski, Semenyo, and then maybe Mikolenko, and then Njai or Calvert-Lewin.
Yeah.
I think I could rack up points doing that.
Yeah, I think my team.
Save.
I think I've got David Raya in net, and then I've got Kirkes, Aina, and Trent in defence. Then I think you've got a screenshot. I think I've got
Gordon, Semenyo, and Burmo, Palmer, Salah, Wood, Isak, and then you've got Slot as your assistant manager.
Yeah, and then I've just got a few academy players from different teams on the bench because I've maxed out my starting lineup pretty much. But I mean, attacking wise, I've got a lot of attacking players in my FPL, and that's how I got 75 points. Was it in my last game week?
Yeah, I think you've done better than me. Yeah, you've done better than me this week.
Yeah,
You're still off it a little bit, but hopefully you can catch up.
I'm making the most of like Bournemouth and Forest players in my team, and Kirkes as well in defence. He's doing really well because Bournemouth are keeping a lot of clean sheets. So
yeah,
it's definitely.
I'm just very like consistent with it. I'm not like getting like really poor game weeks. I'm always having like one player that does well in my team, and there is actually one player who I've been looking at bringing in, and I'm thinking I kind of want to get. I think it's time to get João Pedro out.
Right.
And a player I want to replace him with is Gakpo. I'm thinking Pedro up to Gakpo, and then taking Paro out and bringing in maybe an Everton defender. So it's like they've got the double game week, and it's a cheap defender which funds Gakpo.
Yeah, it might be the right move, to be fair.
I think João Pedro just hasn't been at it as much.
Yeah, sounds like a good plan, to be fair. I mean, this is the good thing about FPL as well. It's the prediction side of things. It's quite fun predicting which players are going to do well and not. And it's like, you can have a dig at your mates and whatnot if they have a bad game.
You've reminded me about something, actually. You have reminded me about something. Where are we in predictions? I think it was going to be 4-3 to me, but Ipswich scored that goal. So
it's 3-3 still, isn't it?
4-0, 2-0.
Or do we call it 4-4? I don't know how shall we do it?
I think call it 3-3. So are we doing it based on like if the scores aren't right, the person who wins is the amount the team wins by, not like how many goals they've scored. So because I predicted 4-0, you predicted 2-0 because Liverpool scored 4. That's something right. Does that not mean I win?
No.
Or are we just doing it based on the goal difference?
We're doing it by goal difference. So, I predicted 2-0, you predicted 4-0, but we won by 3 goals, so it's a draw.
Yeah. So I think it's 3-3.
Yeah, it's 3-3. So shall we get our predictions in now then for the PSV game? Do you want to go first?
Do we maybe want to go through a predicted lineup for the game? I know we've touched on players.
We've touched on it really. I think it's going to be pretty similar to the Lille lineup, to be honest. Really.
Yeah, we did one for Lille, to be honest. Yeah, I mean I agree. I think it'll be similar to Lille.
Yeah.
I mean, thinking score-wise for PSV, it's gonna be a tough game.
Yeah, I agree.
But I've watched these games before. We usually win these ones. Like away in the Champions League, we usually just come away with it. Like Bayern, AC Milan. Like, I feel like there's a good chance we may concede first, just because of the atmosphere and stuff.
Yeah, maybe.
But I'm thinking either we'll control it and it'll be 2-0 or we'll win 3-1. So I'm going to go 2-1 to Liverpool.
You're going 2-1?
Yeah, 2-1.
I'm going to go 3-1 to Liverpool.
3-1. The thing is I feel like I'm predicting for us to score late because I think if we're 2-1 up, we're going to get more and it'll be 3-1 or 4-1. So
yeah, I guess,
your prediction could be quite good there, to be fair.
Yeah, and I mean we're we've both predicted Liverpool to win by 1 goal there, so it'll be a draw regardless of, if Liverpool win by 1 goal, if it's 4-3, then it's a draw. If it's 3-2, it's a draw.
Yeah.
If it's 1-0, it's a draw.
Yeah.
So
I think these predictions are quite good because it's always going to be. I mean, I don't want to jinx anything, but it's always going to be quite close because knowledge-wise, Liverpool-wise, we're pretty much on the same level. So it could come down to like the last week to see who does this forfeit.
Yeah, I think I completely agree, but I think 3-1 Liverpool, but it could either be goals, it could be a lot of goals, or it could be a really boring 1-0 win. I don't think PSV are going to win, to be honest. I think Liverpool will outplay them. I don't think they've got any noticeable out and out players in their team that I recognise really. But I definitely think we're going to get the job done against them.
Yeah.
I think completely. Yeah.
And I think we've managed to touch on every basis of what's going around football at the minute in that episode. I think we've managed to discuss other teams as well as just our own. I think that's good for because we want to keep doing this because with Liv, I know I'm struggling to speak right now, but with Liverpool, it's like there's talking about your own team, but there's always stuff like outside that and like other teams that factor. I think we've just gone over everything that needs to be said that's not regarding Liverpool, and obviously, I think this is a perfect time to wrap up the episodes.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to obviously thank everyone who is tuning in to our episodes today. Obviously, there's going to be a lot more coming in the future, so you need to make sure you're liking the videos and commenting. Make sure us as podcast producers know obviously what to do in the future to improve our videos. And then if you turn on the notification bell, you'll always be updated if you are tuning into our podcast videos, which we much appreciate it if you are. And just thank you to everyone who tuned in. Goodbye for now.